This video is sponsored by me and my minimal icon packs. Tim Cook started the Apple event saying that iPhone 17 is Apple's biggest leap forward ever. But as someone who's watched every September event since the iPhone 4, let me tell you what I think is actually surprisingly awesome here and what's just classic Apple theatre. Hi, it's Simon. Welcome back to Better Creating. I've just spent the evening digesting Apple's latest September spectacle. Time for some first reactions. And here's what I think you should actually take note of and whether an upgrade is on the cards for your iPhone or whether you should hold fire for once. So we got the anticipated iPhone Air, lots of slightly better than normal improvements to the lineup, a design shift, pro models and pro video capture that could genuinely now be just for pros. And while we talk about iPhones, we've got to address the AirPods Pro 3 release with features that will likely make them a pick for my sleeper hit of the event. Heart rate tracking and Star Trek style live translation. But let's take a breath because we've been here before. Revolutionary cameras, most ever X features, and it all turns out to be pretty good incremental updates wrapped up in some pricing. So let's cut through the hype, but I will admit that I did quite enjoy how Apple made moody nighttime presentation vibes. Way to show off your low light camera improvements, lads. So let's start with what I think is the most exciting announcement, the iPhone Air. Apple called this a piece of the future. And honestly, at first glance, it might be my first I really want that iPhone in years. And interestingly, they just called it iPhone Air, not 17. And I think that really points to how they genuinely see this as a brand new design. And to be fair, it looks genuinely stunning. I also think this is the reason all these phones have that lozenge design so they can fit the hardware in the Air. And it also helps people show that they got a new phone. Sure. At 5.6 millimeters thin, that makes it the thinnest iPhone ever, of course, with a mirrored finish and ceramic shield now covering the titanium frame design on both sides. Apple claims it is 3 times more durable and 4 times more resistant to cracks than previous models, and actually this kind of strength durability thing is across the range. So the Air is getting that 48 megapixel fusion camera system, as do all the iPhones in some form, but it seems that the Air and the Pro get this, dual capture video. So you can film from both cameras. I think I like this idea, but how often will you or I actually use that? And can we separate the two videos so we can use them and edit them together? Let me know what you make of this in the comments. But I really like what Apple are doing here with the idea of adding Pro power in a super thin body. They're adding that A19 Pro chip, and it kind of makes the Air a more refined choice for non-Pro users than the Pro, if that makes sense. And that chip is delivering MacBook Pro levels of compute in a phone thinner than most people expected was possible. But, well, I think there might be a hidden reality check in here. So Apple, quite early in the iPhone Air section, introduced a super slim MagSafe attachable battery for the Air for 40 plus hours combined battery life boasting. Now, I love the engineering, and sure, it's going to be an additional cost, but also they never actually shared the standalone battery life figures for the Air on its own. Now, for a phone this thin, could battery life be a deal breaker? I mean, if you need to mention that MagSafe battery, are we really talking about an ultra portable phone or just a phone that requires that accessory? I really hope not, because I want this to be awesome because it looks awesome. On the plus side of this news, iOS 26 intelligently learns when to conserve battery life now, and so I think in general they are going to be still super impressive. Plus it's eSIM only, which actually makes it perfect for travelers because you can get whatever you want on there when you need it. Now, whatever you make of the iPhone Air, I'd just like us all to agree, though, that it was excellent that we got to see Tim Cook go full YouTube and say,
iPhone Air is a total game changer.
Classic Apple enthusiasm right there. He just needs to get his teleprompter face more convincing, maybe. I do love that guy though. Okay, onwards, and iPhone Air is just one part of the story here. Apple made some pretty significant changes across the entire iPhone 17 lineup, with one feature that should have arrived on iPhone ages ago, and another rather striking design and hardware approach to the Pro line. But before that, well, a word from, well, me still. Would you like your iPhone home screen to look like this? Well, if you want to make your new iPhone super minimal and clean, check out my minimal icon packs at bettercreating.com. I'm super chuffed with these. Each pack contains 192 custom design icons covering system apps, shortcuts, Google and Microsoft suites, a bunch of stuff. Plus, all my favorite third-party apps from Arc browser to Notion. Of course, you get both dark and light mode versions, custom wallpapers, and even some widgets to set off the whole look. My current favorite has to be the physical buttons pack, inspired by Dieter Rams' design philosophy, not dissimilar to how Johnny Ives designed the original iPhones, and it gives that perfect tactile minimal feel that complements that design language at Apple beautifully. So thanks everyone who's supporting the channel and grabbing these. They really have been successful, and so check them out if you want to keep me coming back to you with more of this. So iPhone 17's base model shows some nice improvements, but the big feature that many of us were waiting for is finally 120Hz ProMotion displays on every iPhone. I know, we've been asking for this for base models for literally years, but here we are, no more Pro tax, just to get smooth scrolling. That honestly changes my recommendations more than any camera upgrade. The displays themselves are also genuinely better too. 3000 nits peak brightness with this 7-layer anti-reflection coating. I think that's going to make it very, very good outside. I mean, my iPhone 16 is fine as it is. This will just be better. But there is also one other kind of cool and unexpected upgrade to the iPhones this year that I think is going to affect everyone really positively. Apple's new center stage front camera. We finally got a front-facing camera that's almost twice the size on the sensor, but the sensor is also square. So that means that you can tap to rotate from portrait to landscape seamlessly and get the perfect orientation whichever way you use the camera. And it's up to 18 megapixels with proper video stabilization on there too. This is a super cool quality of life upgrade if you film yourself regularly, take photos with the front-facing camera, no more rotating your phone for selfies. And iPhone 17 also gets the A19 chip, while Air and Pro Max step up to the A19 Pro. Do we need that MacBook level of compute? Probably not for Instagram, but for serious video work or heavy AI stuff, it might be useful. And honestly, I think the iPhone Air is asking some serious questions about who the Pro models are now for. So before we talk about why those AirPods Pro 3s are my sleeper pick of the event, let's talk about those Pros and why Apple really wants you to ditch your Pro cameras. Let's talk about Apple's camera replacement strategy. Honestly, in 2025, the camera tech in phones is looking like it's starting to back up that ambition. It's no accident Danny Boyle filmed 28 years later recently, a feature film on iPhones this year. It's getting harder to deny the quality of the machine learning enhancements and supporting of better hardware. But can we just talk first about that gorgeous orange color option? It's genuinely stunning. The Pro models look super slick and a little utilitarian now, I think. I love that kind of cutout shape on the back of the phone and with the full width camera bar. And it's not just for show. Apple are making space for that dual camera fusion system. Sorry, just had a kind of tech title sickness alert there. It's so late right now. All three cameras are now 48 megapixel fusion cameras though. That is really cool. And the telephoto lens is jumping from 5x to 8x optical zoom for like a 200 millimeter telephoto. And as Apple puts it, we now have 8 Pro lenses in your pocket. And I think there is variable aperture control for manual depth of field. Did you see that? Is that just with a certain app? Let me know what you know. Apple's added deep learning for natural detail, noise reduction, and color enhancement in low light. And beyond all of the most powerful CPU in a phone chip chat, this year I was actually most struck by how Apple kept mentioning professional production and content creators. And I think this is a pretty aggressive shift in Apple's focus on the market to go after pro camera users. It comes with this pretty epic feature announcement, ProRes RAW capture support. That's industry standard for professional productions anywhere, with native support for the Final Cut and Blackmagic camera apps. This isn't just marketing speak, actually. I think Apple is genuinely targeting professional video workflows. The iPhone 17 Pro Max also goes up to 2 terabytes of storage now, perfect for all the ProRes RAW footage, with pricing on most models staying the same as last year. So before we answer the final question, who should upgrade and to what, I do want to talk about those AirPods Pro 2s and how these were probably my top pick of the whole event. This is some of the most practical and genuinely useful future tech I've seen in years. I love my AirPods Pros too, but this is genuinely a big step forward that goes way beyond just audio. Let's quickly run through the updates. heart rate monitoring and fitness tracking during workouts, body temperature sensing, I think, for cycle tracking and sleep insights, 8 hours battery life up from 6 hours, plus they've shrunk the charging case significantly. The heart rate monitoring and fitness tracking could be awesome, and honestly, this would be an easy upgrade for me. But here's the feature that genuinely blew me away in their demo: live translation. Apple spent serious stage time on this, and I get why. When translation mode is active, the AirPods use that 4 times better active noise cancellation that they're promising to automatically lower the volume of the person speaking, so it's easier to focus on the translation that's being fed directly into your ears. You hear both the original and the translation without missing context. And it looks like they're really cool when you're both wearing them, although this is kind of getting a bit Star Trek, right? This was clearly one of those Apple wow moments during the event, and I'm genuinely excited to test them in real world scenarios. I mean, I'm directing a theatre show in Buenos Aires at the moment. I should probably use them there. So I'm just saying this because I really think it. If you've been waiting for AirPods to do more than just audio, the Pro 3 finally look like they do deliver on that promise. Okay, let's round this off and talk about which you should pick and if you should upgrade. And for once, this buying decision isn't just about budget. My personal honest dilemma is, I have to admit, I'm genuinely torn between that iPhone Air and that gorgeous orange Pro, but I don't think I can justify buying another Pro for another year. The Air's 5.6mm thickness and piece of the future appearance is really stunning and is getting me excited. So I don't know, let's see. But enough about me. Who should choose what on these first reactions? Well, I think we need to see some hands-on, but anyone wanting to move from the standard iPhone, and if the battery life proves okay, I think the iPhone Air is a minimalist's dream with some proper power. So if you want to be at the future of phones, this might be the one. iPhone 17 Pro, if you're a creator or serious camera user, those Pro specs plus even bigger Mac level computing make them a know why you want it or need it choice, and Apple genuinely wants to replace your camera in your bag. iPhone 17, the sensible default with 120Hz ProMotion displays and a better camera. So this year I would say is a definite yes to upgrade if you're 13, 14 or before. You're going to get left behind and just all the AI stuff won't work. If you're 15, 16, this is design and camera focus, not raw performance. Only upgrade if you really want the cameras. And the creator question: if Apple's camera replacement pitch resonates with you, ProRes RAW, professional app support, 8x zoom, that Pro might make sense. Otherwise, you're just paying for features you probably won't use. And of course, they're amazingly beautiful. If you've got the money, crack on. So where has this event left us? Well, I know I didn't talk about the Apple Watch, but Apple's strategy is crystal clear. They want Pro iPhones to replace professional cameras, and probably the new iPhone Air is wanting to be the oh why not upgrade for standard iPhone users when they go and buy something this year. And you should watch this video next to make much more of the Apple ecosystem than you realized. Hit my face to get subscribed, and I'll see you on the next one.